Sorry.
Now we're self-conscious.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
I have a motion and a second for the approval of the agenda. Is there any discussion? I'll call the question. All those in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Hearing none. The motion is approved 3-0 with 1 absent. Moving on. Closed session motion, please.
Pursuant to 2.2-3711A of the Code of Virginia, the Orange County School Board will convene a closed meeting for the following: discussion of personnel or the performance of a division employee as authorized by Section 2.2-3711A1 of the Code of Virginia for resignation, termination, transfer, employment, salary adjustment, retirement of employees, and the superintendent's contract.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for closed session motion. I'm not reading that again, sorry. All those in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We are all, the motion is approved 3-0 with 1 absent, and we are in closed session.
I was getting ready to raise my hand.
I was getting ready to say aye.
Order.
Sorry,
That's okay.
I had a frog in my throat.
Ms. Dawson, may I have closed session certification, please?
Whereas the Orange County School Board has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas 2.2-3712D of the Code of Virginia requires certification by this school board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law, now therefore be it resolved that the Orange County School Board hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, 1, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed, and 2, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered.
Second.
The motion is, I have a motion and a second. Are there any discussion? Ms. Byram, if hearing none, Ms. Byram, may I have roll call, please?
Yes, Ms. Anderson,
Aye.
Ms. Dawson,
Aye.
Mr. Rickett.
Aye.
Madam Chair, the clerk certifies the vote as follows: 3 yes votes, no votes, with 1 member absent.
All right, thank you. So the motion passes. Moving on to deposition of personnel actions. Dr. Horny?
Yes, Madam Chair. Recommend approval of the personnel actions as presented in closed session.
May I have a motion, please?
I move to approve the personnel agenda items to include employment, transfer, rescind employment, resignation, salary adjustment, and extracurricular and coaching appointments.
Second.
I have a motion on the table with a second to approve. All those in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. 3 yes votes, no votes. 1 member absent.
And Madam Chair, if you don't mind, just kudos and tremendous progress to the HR team and the entire administration. It just, as someone from Orange, warms my heart that we are hiring people who went to school here, went away, got an education, and then they come back home. So terrific job, and I love to see it and look forward to seeing some of what those numbers really look like. Thank you all for all of your hard work in this area.
Keep talking, Jack. We got 2 minutes.
That's all I got.
There's no way that's all you got.
I know.
It's a little lengthy meeting. I don't want to, burn out early.
May we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Ma'am.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh my gosh.
Take a minute.
Like a minute.
Dr. Hornick can blink an eye and eat up a minute.
Since we have 1 minute left before we can get started on public comment, I would just like to possibly have a moment of silence. Our previous board member, her son is undergoing a lot of issues. He's developed cancer. He's been approved for a trial on his cancer. So if we could just have a moment of silence for them, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. Thank you all. Moving on to public comment. Ms. Byron, do we have any speakers for today?
Yes, ma'am. We have two speakers signed up. We've got Megan Lopez and Finola Lopez.
They're on their way. She just sent me a text saying they're coming from the park.
Okay.
I have something I have to read anyway, so let me find it. I'll take my time. The Orange County School Board recognizes the importance of maintaining a respectful and orderly environment during school board meetings. Therefore, we kindly request that all comments made are relevant to the field of pre-K through 12 public education and pertain to matters concerning the school board and division. We ask that individuals refrain from using offensive language, engaging in vulgar or profane behavior, or making comments or taking actions that might incite violence or disrupt the peace. Unless otherwise authorized by the chair, each speaker is allotted a maximum of 3 minutes to express their views. To uphold decorum, we kindly request that applause, noise-making, or any other disruptive behavior be avoided before, during, and after a member of the public addresses the board. It is important to note that public comment is intended for addressing the school board, and therefore comments should be directed solely towards the board members. Furthermore, it is expected that board members will refrain from engaging in dialogue with the speakers during this time, as it is an opportunity for the board to actively listen to the thoughts, concerns, and feedback of the public. Any conduct that violates the established decorum and order as determined by the chair or their designee may result in disciplinary actions, including potential expulsion from the meeting. Alternatively, written comments may be submitted to the board members via email. It is crucial to emphasize that these guidelines are not intended to restrict freedom of speech, but rather to ensure effective communication between the public and their public servants. We eagerly anticipate your valuable contributions and feedback.
Madam Chair, while we're waiting, would it be okay to introduce our new
Yes, absolutely.
folks? All right, well, let's do that then. A few weeks back, the school board convened a special meeting and approved the hire of Miss Marlene Rombach as the new principal of Locust Grove Middle School. She was on vacation at the time, and so Marlene, we want to formally welcome you and see if you would join us up front for a picture. You don't have to give a speech. Sound good? Welcome, Marlene. A second, because we're going to introduce Christina as well. And then this evening in closed session, the Orange County School Board approved the appointment of Ms. Christina Shires to a leadership role here within the division as the newest assistant principal at Locust Grove Middle. Christina brings a unique blend of instructional experience, entrepreneurial experience, as well as a deep passion for students and student success. Ms. Shires began her journey in education after discovering a love for the classroom through some volunteer work, and this experience inspired her to pursue her degree and a master's in education from University of Mary Washington, where she has since laid the foundation for her rewarding career as an elementary educator. During her time in the classroom, Ms. Shires has built strong relationships with students and has been dedicated to supporting the growth and development of her colleagues. Recognizing the opportunity to make an even broader impact, Christina drew on her background as a small business owner to embrace leadership and empower fellow educators. Her desire to support academic achievement at a systems level led her to pursue a postmaster's certificate in ed leadership from VCU, which you are rapidly coming to a close on, correct? About taking on the role, she says, quote, "I hope that my background in educational instruction and my passion for student success will bring continued success and enthusiasm to the school community, with a focus on building strong school culture, fostering professional growth, and promoting student achievement. Ms. Shires is excited to contribute to the vision and mission of Orange County Public Schools. Please join us in welcoming Ms. Christina Shires to her new role and celebrating the leadership experience."
You don't want to be next to me?
All right, well, I don't need y'all to shift this way, I think, okay. Okay. There we go, all right. Got it?
Would you like to come up as well and grab it? You sure? Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Congratulations, Ms. Rumbach and Ms. Shires. Welcome to Orange County Public Schools, Christina, and welcome you both to your new roles. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right. Ms. Byram, may we restate the names for public comment, please?
Yes, we've got Megan Lopez and Fenella Lopez.
Thank you so much. Good evening, school board and community members. My name is Dr. Megan Lopez. I'm a family nurse practitioner and adjunct professor at Johns Hopkins School of Nursing. I also currently lead national public health programs for children and families, and I'm also a mom of 3, 2 middle schoolers and a high schooler. As we sit here today, even though it's raining, I want you to imagine a beautiful 80-degree day. Your middle school daughter gets dressed for school, choosing clothes that make her feel confident, comfortable, but within hours, she's pulled from class, told her body is a distraction, and made to feel ashamed of simply existing in her own skin. This isn't imagination. This happened to my daughter and to many other girls at Prospect Heights Middle School. While she got a warning, it was announced that dress code violations would now result in in-school suspension, escalating what was already a problematic policy. Let me share with you what the evidence tells us about current dress code enforcement. According to the Government Accountability Office, these policies are taking significant instructional time away from our students. When we pull girls from class for dress code violations, we're prioritizing clothing over education, the very outcome we're trying to prevent. The health implications concern me as a healthcare provider. Research shows that excessive focus on body coverage during adolescence can contribute to the mental health crisis we're already seeing in our young people. 10% of young women will develop an eating disorder, and research shows that 62% of teenage girls are already trying to lose weight. Current policies invite everyone to scrutinize what others are wearing, creating shame and self-consciousness that can be crippling during a time when virtually all adolescents already struggle with self-image. Research also shows that this can lead to girls feeling as though their body wasn't acceptable and contribute to low self-esteem, depression, and eating disorders. As parents, we want to protect our children from these outcomes, not inadvertently contribute to them. Meanwhile, what message are we sending our boys? That they can't control themselves around a girl's shoulder, that girls are responsible, whether they can focus or not. I have higher expectations for my boys and the respectful men that I want them to grow into be, and I imagine you all do too. We're selling our young men short while we're burdening our young women with responsibility that isn't theirs. From a practical standpoint, current enforcement methods are counterproductive to learning. Studies show that 60% of dress code violations require staff to stop instruction, physically measure students, and create an environment where students scrutinize each other's bodies rather than focus on academics. In essence, the current dress code and enforcement process are absolutely at odds with the stated objectives. It's also worth noting that there is an economic impact on families, and it is significant. In our community, where many families work hard to provide for their children, strict dress codes mean requiring specific clothes that meet strict measurements for growing bodies, placing an undue financial burden on parents who are already stretched thin. Dress codes aren't all bad. No one is suggesting that kids wear scandalous or inappropriate clothes, but there have to be common sense approaches, and there are alternatives. We must remember, President Burke offered that if I had a suggestion for a better solution, I was welcome to propose one. And I do, so here I am. I'm ready to work with students, parents, and administrators to create a dress code that puts education first. Really, the question is simple. Do we want our girls to remember about their time in school? Do we want them to think that we celebrated who they are and what they're learning, or that we just measured their shorts?
Sorry. Hi, my name is Fanola Lopez. I'm an 8th grade student at Prospect Heights Middle School, and I am one of the many girls that have been dress coded. When you get dress coded, everyone immediately knows when they see your gym clothes. But what makes it feel worse is when you see a girl wearing the same thing as you, and nobody says that should be dress coded. At my school, Prospect Heights Middle School, this is pretty normal. Girls get dress coded for minor inconveniences, but boys walk around breaking the dress code very clearly, and nobody ever blinks an eye. School administration might say that this doesn't target one gender. However, it does. It only accommodates the boys. As an example, in 6th grade, we are given a slideshow on what you can't wear and what you can wear. Your shorts must be fingertip length, no undergarments showing. Tank tops must be 3 fingers width. Shirts that cover your bottom. Those are the biggest rules, but the problem with this is many girls have long arms and many brands and stores don't make shorts or shirts or tank tops like this. So as I was saying, this accommodates the boys because that's exactly what clothing stores sell for boys, not girls. Something else is in gym, every girl wears sweatpants. As the boys wear shorts, girls do this because nobody can find shorts that accommodate the gym requirements. This dress code is just unfair to give girls. It's unfair, not just to girls, but to families, because it makes the parents have to buy new clothes for their child, even though they already have many clothes. So I'm up here today because I would like the dress code to be changed.
Thank you. Ms. Byram, we have any other speakers?
No, ma'am.
All right, then I will.
Madam Chair, if you don't mind, Ms. Lopez, are you asking us to change the dress code?
Absolutely. I think that you should change the dress code. I think also that you should give clear guidance about the way the dress code is enforced, to not take a shame-based approach and an approach that pulls children out of instruction in order to enforce the dress code. Yes.
So you say shame-based. So you feel like everyone in the class, we'll say Marie. If Marie gets pulled out of class, everyone in the class knows.
Yeah, because what happens is that they pull children out of class, so they'll say, hey, can you please send Fanola Lopez down? And because I say shame-based, because the way that it's enforced by having girls change clothes, you have an option, you can go home or you can change clothes. The clothes that girls have are gym clothes, and as my daughter said, what a lot of the girls wear for gym class is sweatpants. So as soon as you have to wear that, everyone knows. But the reason I say shame-based is because what happens is with this heightened enforcement in school suspension for a dress code violation, it means that all of the kids are looking at what everybody's wearing and everybody's body and trying to figure out who's going to get dress coded that day. And so it becomes scrutinizing and really just hyper body focused, which for middle schoolers, that's absolutely not what we want.
Last question. Do you feel the policy is vague, or are we clear in the policy? You would just like to see it changed?
Both. So I think the policy is clear and unfair, and I think also the enforcement is poorly done.
Okay. If you wouldn't mind coming up with some of your ideas and please emailing me. Thank you.
All right, I will, public comment closed. Moving on to the consent agenda. Approval of the minutes, financial reports, and monthly operating bills.
Whose month is it?
We didn't have to do that part of it this time.
We didn't.
I don't think so.
No, we didn't have a name. I did review them, so
Do you want me to make a motion?
I can make the motion.
Okay. Move to approve minutes, financial reports, and monthly operating bills as presented.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes and operating bills. Are there any adjustments or anything that need to be made? No? All right. We will move on. Motion approved, Ms. Byram. And then we'll move on to the number 7, action items, overnight out-of-state field trip.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. The first one here for an overnight or out-of-state field trip is coming early from the FFA. And this is the national convention, which is held in Indianapolis. And I believe that they are bringing this forward now so that they can get their approval and begin their fundraising to make sure that they can financially support the trip to Indianapolis. So we would appreciate the board's consideration.
Are there any questions on the out-of-state field trip request?
Move to approve overnight out-of-state field trip request for the FFA, and I wish them well.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to approve the FFA field trip as presented. All those in favor I will call the question. All those in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? 3 yes votes, no votes, 1 absent. Thank you. Moving on. Dr. Horning?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Next, this evening, Ms. Frady Lawhorn is here for any additional questions. We are coming to you as we are required each year to establish our out-of-county tuition rate. The rate has increased slightly this year, I believe somewhere in the tune of about $165. And again, this amount is based on the per pupil funding that we get from the state of Virginia. And we appreciate and would welcome the board's approval of our out-of-county tuition rate for 25-26.
And you believe this falls in line with what we're...
Yes, that is correct.
I move to approve the 25-26 out-of-county tuition rate in the amount of $5,132.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the 2025-26 out-of-county tuition rate in the amount of $5,132. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. 3 yes votes, no votes, 1 member absent.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, members of the board.
All right,
Okay, to move on to number 8.
please, sir.
All right, thank you very much. Next, under 8A, we are coming this evening for a supplemental appropriation. Lisa and Susan are here as well as Nora, who is the kind of the primary point of contact for receiving these federal funds for school-based mental health. And she can certainly talk to the board in detail about what these funds have been and will be used for, but we would appreciate the board's consideration. And this would be for an increase in revenue and expenditure.
Are there any questions on the the supplemental appropriations FY 2025 school-based mental health grant?
Is this something you need us to move on?
It would be helpful, yes, sir.
So your full recommendation, and Nora's shaking her head yes, so of course.
As an example, when we have convocation in, I don't know, 12 days. For instance, part of these funds are covering the speaker as well as some of the additional work that he and his team are doing with staff. So we have some expenditures that are upon us as one example of what the funds will be used for.
Well, terrific job as always, you guys.
Laura's the best.
Move to approve supplemental appropriation request in the amount of $108,000 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the supplemental appropriations in the amount of $108,000. No further discussion. I'll call the question. All those in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I have 3 yes votes, no votes, and 1 member absent. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair and members of the board. Next this evening is another supplemental appropriation, and if there are specific questions, Ms. Miller is here this evening. She will be able to answer those, but this is for the school breakfast program, and this is to the tune of a little over $85,000 for increase in revenue and expenses.
Are there any additional questions? All right.
How is the summer program going?
So far, so good. Doing well. I can come up.
Come on up, Julie.
Sure. Because summer school is in, so you're good. We're feeding.
Yes.
Yes.
We do the community feeds program, so our students can come in to our facilities as well as take summer bags home on Thursdays for the whole weekend. So it's going very well, which is great.
You know, I'm a huge proponent of that, and thank you for
Good.
continuing that.
Yes.
Moving forward.
Thank you.
Move to approve SBP increase. I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong thing.
No, no.
Approve a supplemental appropriation request in the amount of $85,557, and is that 92? 92 cents. Yep.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the supplemental appropriations in the amount of $85,557.92. There's no other questions. I'll call the question. All those in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Thank you.
3
Thank
yes
you.
votes, no votes, 1 member absent.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Next this evening, keeping in line, as you see a theme here, a supplemental appropriation request. This is for an increase in revenue and expenditure for a little over $134,000 to continue funding revenue expenses for our Virginia Preschool Initiative, VPI. And of course, Lisa and Judy are here and can speak to this should you have additional questions.
Do we have any questions? Would we like to approve this one too?
I think we're on a roll, and as long as Dr. Hornet continues to recommend, and these guys keep doing a phenomenal job, we're going to keep not being a barrier in front of them to get their jobs done. So move to approve supplemental appropriation request for the VPI in the amount of $134,401.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the supplemental appropriations for $134,401. There's no other questions. All those in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I have 3 yes votes, no votes, 1 member absent.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, members of the board. Our letter D this morning, our final supplemental appropriation, is the one that the board is fully aware of. In the FY26 state budget development process, the state provided funds for providing a bonus for SOQ positions. We had the flexibility to pay that in FY26, and as stated in communication with the board, our plan is to pay out the SOQ bonus on August the 15th. Approving this supplemental appropriation will allow us to get the ball rolling to work with our colleagues across the street, and then be able to pay the bonus on time on August the 15th. And it would be a retention bonus, so it would be employees who worked with Orange County Public Schools last school year and have returned this school year.
I'm glad you added that last piece. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Move to approve supplemental appropriation request for SOQ bonuses in the amount of $515,687.
I'll second, but I have a question. So it's SOQ positions
So,
divvying.
okay, so they, as per the usual, we are getting funding, the state's portion based on the SOQ formula. We are going to make sure that all of the returning employees who are paid from the operating fund receive this bonus. And so what we will be doing over the next few weeks, in particular with Yvonne and her team in HR, we'll be getting our number of employees who worked for us last year and who have returned, so that we can then divide the amount of money we have by the number of returning employees, and that's what will be distributed. So even if an employee is a first grade teacher but isn't under the SOQ, that funding formula, because we obviously have more staff than what the baseline SOQ calls for, all of those individuals will absolutely receive the bonus.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I was hoping that would be the answer.
Yes, we will always see to it that is the case. And in May, when I communicated with the school division, with all the staff via email, I let them know exactly how we would be handling it. That the exact amount of the bonus would have to be determined once we know how many employees are returning based on the amount we have. But our goal would be to give as much to every employee who has returned as possible, using that little over $500,000.
Right. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Can we get a report on that as well?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
no problem.
All right, I have a motion and a second to approve the supplemental appropriation for the SOQ bonus of $515,687. All those in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
All opposed? No. I have 3 yes votes, no votes, 1 member absent. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, members of the board. Next this evening, in his first official appearance before you, Mr. Bennett has brought forward a recommendation from technology for staff device replacement. Brandon, if there's anything you would like to add, please feel free to come forward. But we are looking to keep on cycle and replace staff devices that are being cycled off.
Brandon, quick question. I noticed in the quote, you're dealing directly with Apple? No middle?
Correct.
Okay. And then what percentage of the equipment are we replacing? You don't have to be exact. I mean, is this 50%? Is this 25%?
A little more like a quarter.
I don't know the exact numbers, but this would be for our secondary instructional folks, so teachers, anyone within that category.
So the
would be-
secondary instructional. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah. So 25, 30% in that neighborhood? Yeah.
I'm going to guess, I was guessing 25.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yes.
That's it. Thank you, sir.
So is that basically then a 4-year cycle, 25% this year and then another 25 next year until we work our way
Correct.
annually back around?
We've had to do a little bit of working because they were originally purchased in one lump due to COVID funds. So we've had to get them on that 4-year cycle. So the devices we're replacing are actually probably 5 years old at this point.
That's a dinosaur in technology years, right?
A little bit. They're holding
It's
in
been
there.
keeping you busy.
Well,
Yes.
as we were going through, when the initial purchase was done, and you have a whole lot of devices, you have to ultimately decide what's the best way to go forward, because if you want to get them, they're on essentially a 4-year coverage, right? Whatever. And so if you want to start getting them on a 4-year cycle, if you don't run some over, you're essentially replacing a quarter of them while they still have 3 years of essentially warranty coverage left. And so we, when Brandon's predecessor were here, it was a lot of back and forth trying to determine what is the right time. And we ran a few beyond the 4-year warranty because they weren't purchased originally on a cyclically, right? So they were purchased en masse, and then as you decide when to replace them, we were trying to max out as much as possible the factory warranty, so to speak, and not replace them too early. So of course the side effect of that is some run beyond your warranty period, but you're kind of stuck. There is no clear best way to go. So I think we made the best decision based on trying to be as wise as possible and judicious as possible with taxpayer dollars.
Thanks for doing that.
Yeah.
Getting us on that
Absolutely.
cycle. It completely makes sense. So move to approve the purchase of staff replacement devices in the amount of $190,515.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the purchase of staff replacement devices in the amount of $190,515. There's no further discussion. All those in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I have 3 yes votes, no votes, 1 abstain, or 1 absent. All right. Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Next this evening is a list of proposed policy revisions. And there is a set here in particular that I'm happy to invite Nora to the stage, so to speak. But what we have is a series of new, there are some new policies. And fortunately, for instance, the new policy EBBC for extreme heat safety and precaution, we were already in compliance with the law before the law came forward with our use of wet bulb globe temperature with our platform that we had designed 3 years ago or so upon my arrival. And recently, Justin and Mike Neely have helped us get secure, more security and more secure feelings by engaging with Perryweather, which will be mounting a device here at Teak as well as at Locust Grove Middle School that will be actively monitoring everything that we tell it to monitor: extreme heat, lightning, storms, extreme cold. And it will send alerts to designated individuals' phones via a push notification via an application whenever we hit particular thresholds. And so some of these new policies, really happy to let the board know that we did not have to, outside of writing the policy, we did not have to amend our practice at all. We were already well ahead of where the state was coming from. Within the list, the one that I would like to spend the most time on at the moment and then circle back for questions is the work that we have done around artificial intelligence at the bottom. And so, as promised, we are proud to bring a draft policy and a draft regulation forward for the board's consideration regarding establishing some parameters around the use of generative AI in Orange County Public Schools. And Nora is here this evening to give a brief presentation about where we have been, what we have been doing, and how we have gotten to where we are today. Knowing full well, and our goal was to establish a policy. Policy-wise, we want that to be flexible enough that we don't have to continue to change it, because this AI is going to continue to grow. And so we know that we're going to have to, at a minimum yearly, really address probably the regulation and the guidance part as it becomes as it continues to evolve. But I will defer here now and yield my time to Nora so she can catch you up on where we have been and the work that we have done. Nora?
Very good. Thank you, Dr. Hornick. Madam Chair, members of the board, thank you for having me here tonight. I'm very excited to be here, although I'm just one member of the team. This is a lot of people have been doing this work, and we're excited to share with you what we've been learning over the past probably year and a half, really. So if we want to go, Ms. Byram, to the first slide. So this past year, we had an opportunity to participate in a cohort program that was organized by the Virginia Association for School Superintendents.
And funded by the VDOE.
Yes, and funded by VDOE. They contracted with a program called ALP, Advanced Learning Partnerships, where they came in and they brought a trainer to teach us about generative AI. We were one of many school divisions that were part of this cohort. And so this slide outlines, we went 4 times earlier this year to Manassas City for a full day. Each time we went for the full day and learned about generative AI. We looked at policies, we looked at some of the work that our surrounding divisions have done. We worked in teams, inter-county teams, to develop drafts of documents, and then we worked in our own division team to further draft documents. And refine our stories along with the help and guidance from the ALP partnership. So if we want to go to the next slide, kind of our culminating work was we came up with a guide for kind of a framework for the way we think about generative AI. And these 6 principles are outlined within the guide, and these really are what ground our belief system and when we think about how we're going to go forward with generative AI. These are the 6 guiding principles that are really important. So I know that might be kind of hard for you all to see, but one of the guiding principles is that we want to use generative AI, and we recognize the possibilities for using generative AI for enhancing rigorous learning. So it really does have applications that can help strengthen learning opportunities for students. Another one of the guiding principles is that it can streamline administrative tasks, so it can free up teachers to do those administrative tasks quicker, so that then they're able to have more time with their students. A next guiding principle is that it can support decision making, so it can promote personalized, engaging ideas, and it can serve as a thought partner for how we can really make sure that we're not overlooking things and really support our decision-making process. It's very important that whenever we're thinking about any type of technology, including generative AI, that we're looking at safeguarding student privacy and student data, as well as staff data. So that is definitely one of the underpinnings, and a guiding principle is making sure that we're safeguarding any student data. We also, a guiding principle is looking at the potential for enhancing opportunities, increasing access. So for students with disabilities or English language learners, there's a lot of different applications and possibilities for utilizing generative AI to meet diverse student needs. And lastly, we have the importance of making sure that we're understanding and using generative AI mindfully, because we know there can be bias, there can be incorrect information, and so we really need to make sure that we're aware of that and putting in safeguards to prevent people from not recognizing bias or incorrect information. So in the guide, and I think you all have received a copy of the guide, Dr. Honecker put that together with the layout. It looks amazing. So it really goes into a lot more detail of all of these 6 different areas. And with our committee, I think I didn't say who all was on our committee, but it was Dr. Honecker, Dr. Anderson, Greg Hill, Mr. Hatcher-Fagan from the high school, and Ms. Rhodes from Locust Grove Middle School. Did I forget anybody? I don't think so. So once our committee that was meeting as part of this.
That's why I called you boss.
Oh, yeah. And Dr. Hornick, of course. I can't forget our fearless leader, Dr. Hornick. So once we came up with this draft, we brought it back to our county. We have if you want to go to the next slide, in our county we have a division AI committee that actually started not this past school year, but the school year previously, in the spring of 2004. And this Division AI committee, we have representatives from all the buildings, lots of different types of teachers. We really wanted a good cross-section of teachers represented, as well as building administrators. We had a parent participate, and also Ms. Harrington participated on this committee with us. So with this committee, we looked at lots of different research and read articles about generative AI in education. We had guest speakers come in and present to us. We tried out different tools. And then we took the guide that we developed with ALP and brought it back, the draft of that, and got feedback from this committee. And then with their feedback, we made the edits to the guide. And then the other thing that this division AI committee has done is helped create a survey that we then sent out to all staff to really see what do our staff feel about generative AI? Where are the areas of concern? Where are the areas that they would see possibility, and the areas that they feel like they need support with this topic? So if you want to go to the next slide. So with our guide, we also got input from our division leaders as well as our building administrators. We spent a good amount of time at one of our monthly admin meetings looking at the guide, having the building level administrators really go through and give feedback, and then we made edits based on that feedback as well. And Dr. Hornick shared it at his parent advisory committee as well to get feedback. And I mentioned that the AI division level committee created a survey, and we did send that survey out to all staff and got feedback to advise, future planning where we should go. So I can share, let me get my notes on that. So within that survey, staff reported that overall staff are mostly curious about generative AI, but unsure. Staff reported that they found usage to be helpful with time saving once they understood the parameters. The top uses that current staff who were using generative AI, the top usage were in communication, adapting or modifying materials, and also generating ideas for student engagement. When asked staff how they would like to use AI, the overwhelming response was for lesson plan creation and differentiation. So it appears that staff really would like to be able to use generative AI to help them save time on those cumbersome tasks. So to close, we definitely recognize there are many benefits to generative AI. It can save time, it can help with lesson plan differentiation, it can provide ideas for ways to better engage students, and it can help us do administrative tasks quicker so that we have more time to spend with students. But while there's benefits, there are also legitimate concerns associated with ethical concerns, with, we all think about generative AI being used for cheating, and we need to be mindful of, it can be used for that, and how do we safeguard against that and use it as a tool to enhance learning, not take away from the learning opportunities. We need to also be aware of the concerns with data privacy and make sure that we're selecting any type of programs that people are using, that we're keeping that in the forefront and vetting those programs thoroughly to be sure that we're safeguarding our students' privacy and their data privacy. So for staff readiness and support, we know from the survey that the overwhelming response was staff want professional development around this topic. So we know that that's something that going forward we would really like to be able to provide for staff. We want to model best practices for generative AI. And we know that this is something that's going to have to be ongoing because the technology changes so rapidly that the professional development opportunities we really have to continue to offer based on what's currently coming out. So thinking about going forward and kind of the roadmap and why we're here tonight is we really want to continue to move forward with trying to integrate AI guiding principles, those 6 guiding principles, into our everyday work that we're doing with students. Right now, the guide that we've created it's in draft form. We want to be able to finalize that and really share that out. But we definitely wanted y'all's input and support, and I know you have policy before you tonight and regulations, and so the roadmap going forward is having that be something that we are able to put those parameters in, so that if we're using it safely, and that we're also using it in a way that we're offering teachers the support that they would need to use it going forward.
Would you also talk briefly, Nora, about we were chosen as an exemplar? If you could talk a little bit about what component of your work was and what you did back in the spring.
Sure. So the AI guide that we created, across the state, everyone was creating their own versions of that document, and we were selected as a model for the accessibility part of that. We were selected to share at the conference, the superintendent's conference in the spring. So that was exciting to be able to be selected from all of the people in the state that had created those documents to be able to share what we had put together around accessibility and AI.
Thank you very much, Nora.
Yes.
Well, don't go anywhere.
Okay.
Is it okay? Should I raise my hand?
Raise your hand, Jack.
One of the things that I actually love about you and that team over there is we're always ahead. And I absolutely am just proud to just be a part of things such as this. That being said, Laura, if you could go back to page 1. So the biggest concerns I have about education is AI and social media. Those are the two biggest things for me about it. Those are, to me, the things that they're just moving so quickly. It's scary as a parent and a grandparent. It's scary.
Yeah.
So, a couple of questions. So the first question is, maybe it's slide 2. I'm sorry. Nope, back 2. There we go. Okay, so on the where you did the training, is this going to continue?
ALP does offer a community of practice that's online. So once a month, we all have the opportunity to join with people from other divisions that have been through this training. And that's actually really helpful because things are advancing so quickly, and it can be hard to stay on top of what are the new things that are coming out. So they do a great job of kind of giving us that monthly update, what's new, and then also we break out into breakout sessions with people from other divisions to talk about, professional development plans and, implementation strategies and things like that as well.
Okay, and you think that's enough?
I think it's something that we're definitely going to have to continue to have professional development around. I don't think that once a month virtual training will be enough. I know that that's what we're doing right now, but we'll continue to go to trainings, to keep up to speed with what we need to be sharing related to generative AI. And now we're so happy to have Brandon joining the team with that as well. So
there's also a number of other things, Mr. Rickett, that we are going to do. So there will be a number of different organizations that put on information about AI. One Digital did one in the winter about it. It's tied to things within HR. So Mr. Hill and I attended that. We have a partnership. We are part of a regional partnership with George Mason. And they have work streams, and they meet with primarily Region 4 schools, as well as a few in Region 3. And artificial intelligence is a major topic of discussion. It's a major topic of discussion at all of the conferences that folks attend, whether it's a HR conference, whether it's a transportation conference, a school safety conference, a superintendent's conference. So between our university partners, between other groups that are in the industry, we're going to continue to participate in anything that we can, any type of learning cohort, to continue to make sure we don't get behind.
Absolutely.
More of the background of my questions are you getting and doing everything that you think we need to be? And is there anything that what I was getting to, is there anything that you need us to do to remove some barriers? But it sounds like you're comfortable with the pace at the education standpoint, because, state part 2 of my question, and Laura, if you could go, I don't think maybe it is the next slide. No, keep going, because I can't read that one anyway.
Yeah, I think Dr. Hornick, he makes a great point of our professional organizations are all doing a great job of continuing to share information out as well. I know Ms. Ayler and I have been to several professional development opportunities for special education. We heard our attorney speak about generative AI and IEPs, and so each different area has kind of their own applications of what and implications for what this would look like. I think going forward, it will be really helpful if we have some type of board policy or board regulation to just provide that clarity to staff of kind of what we're doing and what is allowed and what isn't allowed, and because I think that transparency, that's what staff's wanting and what we're all wanting, so we can just all be on the same page with
Well, I look
AI.
forward to seeing that from you. Wink, wink, nod, nod. So the last thing I had formed in spring of 2024, teachers, administrators, staff, board members, and a parent. So terrific. It sounded like you had, what, a dozen plus or minus?
To begin with, we had more than that. As the committee went on, as most committees, our attendance dwindled a little bit. But to begin with, we had, how many do you think? Yeah, 30 or so people.
Great. So the one thing I would, let me first ask, and then based on your answer, suggest, if we could have a point of contact, maybe not necessarily in this particular committee, but a point of contact in each school. I'd love to have a point of contact where if something goes left and it's supposed to go right, we've got somebody in the building that either you or any member of the team, Dr. Harker, anyone over there, we've got someone to talk to kind of help streamline some of the communication, through that. So if you've already done that, wonderful, thank you. If not, it's just a suggestion from me.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion. I think that would be very helpful
I see
to
Judy
staff
smiling,
too.
so
Yeah.
Judy's probably already got it on her list, or Renee's shaking her head. So just Judy, just give me the wink. Oh, we got it, Jack. We got it. We got it. Thanks as always for everything you do.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank
Any
you for
other
your
questions?
presentation.
I'm curious about how we're going to gauge the support of the community, parents of our students. There's a parent on the committee, and I think you said the parent advisory committee had been involved, but the broader community, what's the plan? Maybe we don't have a plan yet.
No, but I agree. I think we all agree that that's something that definitely we need to be engaging with parents about and getting feedback, ongoing feedback from parents on. So this is definitely
In
something
most cases, it might be us providing more education.
Yeah.
And look
I
for
personally, I asked that.
similar to some of the things, and talking about the mental health. Those are other the parent series that Nora and her team put together were funded with the school-based mental health grant as an example. So probably more efforts in that realm, because it is changing so fast. If you haven't been keeping up with it, it's almost incomprehensible what it can do.
Right, and that leads me into my second question. I had a great conversation this week with Brandon and Dawn about the apps that are going to be allowed or not allowed on our school devices and how we monitor that. So how does this work for AI? I know there's multiple options out there. Do we select an AI that is school approved, or is it multiple ones are okay, or whatever you find is a go? How do we?
Well, if it's something that students would be using, it's something that we would definitely have to have the data use agreement, privacy agreement signed, and it would go through the same process as we go through for any other app.
So Dr. Hornick's rule, if it's not on the list, we're not doing it.
Right.
Okay.
Is there anything you wanted to add, Brandon?
Good question.
come up.
So Nora's absolutely right. If we do go with a singular AI source, and there's a lot of them out there. You have ChatGPT, you have Gemini, among many. We would vet those the same way we do the apps. But a lot of what is happening is we're seeing AI integration inside of apps we already use. So even if they do add AI into, let's say, just for instance, Dreambox, it would still fall under the same regulations that they've already signed.
Okay. This one makes me really nervous. It really does. And reading through the document that Dr. Hornick sent, I guess Dr. Honecker put it together. It's on page 13 of that document, and it talks about defining original work in the AI era. And the second paragraph reads, the traditional concept of original work is evolving. Creativity now emerges through a dynamic, iterative partnership between humans and AI, transforming the notion of independent creation. That whole sentence gives me the heebies. It really does. And I know it's a brave new world. And I'm getting older, and I'm a digital immigrant because I'm 63 and not 30, you know. And I know we can't avoid it, but it just really makes me nervous. And I mean, we want to create thinkers and kids who are, not just putting something into AI and having them spit it back out. And I had this conversation with Brandon too. How do we know if a kid's supposed to write an essay for English? I mean, do we need to go back to paper and pencil and the teacher actually watching a writing process happening? Because we know the kids can, I mean, they come out of the womb knowing how all this works, and they can go through every backdoor way there is. I don't know. I'm just
Yes.
brainstorming. It really makes me nervous. But I recognize there are wonderful, applications for it, but there are also some really, really scary applications for it too.
Yeah.
That's my 2 cents for tonight.
Definitely. I think we all agree with you. Yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
Well, Ms. Dawson, it's the same thing I was saying. I listed 2 things as my greatest fears. And I would just say to you, is what I said before, we are very fortunate to have some really smart people sitting out here, making sure our young people within this county are protected from the worst case scenario.
I really don't have any questions. I'm kind of with Ms. Dawson. This is very scary, and there's a lot of information that we talk about screen time, and we talk about how that's affecting the child and so forth. And it just seems like we keep going further and further into the digital world instead of going back to pens and paper, where I feel that we should be, because we're too much on the screen. So again, I'm skeptical too, as far as the AI altogether. But I just have a suggestion as far as there's a lot of policies on here, and I know it doesn't give an approval date listed. So as long as we can go.
We were anticipating bring all these forward this evening, so there was more than enough time for the board to digest. And if there's any additional questions, then we can look at them on August the 11th.
Perfect.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Yeah.
All right.
So this is not one that if Mr. Rickett would say, "Do you need this?" The answer is no. This was to bring it forward, first read. Continue to have the conversation about any of them. I'm happy to meet, or if we need a team. And
Okay.
this is something to address later.
Are we planning to implement these AI things in classrooms this year?
Quite honestly, we already have. I mean, our teachers are doing a lot of work to establish parameters. What this does is it's going to provide more clarity and more oomph whenever we're out there saying various things about the importance of whatever it is we're speaking of. We also have that policy backing. But as far as if these do not need to be addressed this evening, and that does not negatively impact our ability to begin school or to begin instruction. So we are good, and we timed this this effort for that particular purpose. So our goal was to not put the board in any way in a rush. So we wanted to get these forward, especially with a nice gap between now and the next meeting. If there's anything that you all need or any suggestion, we want to work through that and have plenty of time to get that done before we get to approval. So there is no rush.
I do have one other, I don't know if it's a suggestion, recommendation, whatever you want to call it. I would like, and again, if we need this by the August 11th meeting, I understand that, but I would like to get the input from parents. So if there's some way that we could figure out how to get that engagement and information from the parents. I mean, we had a comment tonight under public comment about the dress code policy. Mm-hmm. And for us to create a policy that, half the parents don't want this or don't want that, I think it would be beneficial to understand and hear their input before we finalize a policy for that.
We're going to be able to do that pretty easily with our partnership with Plan Forward. And I know looking through their dashboard, they already have some examples of engagement surveys regarding AI. And so I think that's something we can actually turn around pretty quick.
Okay.
So I think with Nora, we work with you. They're actually coming here tomorrow. They're physically coming here tomorrow to meet with us about our needs and what we've been doing in our plan for the year. That's right. That is tomorrow, 15th. So
perfect.
Apropos and timely.
So you don't need anything approved, so I see new policy for extreme heat safety and protection, student athlete sudden cardiac arrest. So none of these have been passed through the General Assembly that we need to implement, as long as we do it before the first day.
They all have been. The vast majority of the ones above the line are primarily, for the most part, these are editorial changes or new policies that have come forward. Whether or not we have this in place by day one, all of our practices are already in compliance. For an example, and Susan, you can speak to this more, but we knew what was coming down the pike with medical emergency response plans, school crisis emergency management, and I know that we had piloted some strategies at Locust Grove Primary last year. So go ahead, Susan.
There's a project called Project Adam that Samantha Lebanowski, who's the school nurse at Locust Grove Primary School, kind of did like a mock team for the cardiac arrest drills in their building last year, and they actually had several drills knowing that this legislation was coming forward. So we have a model and that we will just implement across the board in all of our schools.
Of course, Mr. Rick, if there are a few that we certainly did not see and certainly do not need to move hastily with the AI, we can continue to let that develop. Or if there are some of these other ones that aren't particularly, I mean, math would be one, for instance, the accelerated math policy, IKEC. We're already addressing that to make sure we're in compliance. So if some of these that are more editorial, the board could piecemeal and say, we're going to approve from, this letter down to this letter if there are some that don't cause consternation or questions. I suspect that the AI one, that's one that we want to continue to develop and work on. The vast majority of these other ones, I mean, the legislation changed and we need to do another lockdown drill. We're going to do another lockdown drill. We have to do 4 over the course of the year. We're not going to not do that. We're already making sure that we don't go over the amount of staff professional development for non-academic. We had always done that before there was an hour requirement because we don't want to burden our people. So, the JHCE, the notification of school-connected overdose, that already came out from the governor's office last year as far as guidance, and they basically took their guidance document and made it put it into code. So we already do it. So it is totally at the board's discretion. If you would like to do some of the ones, that is fine. But
I personally prefer to leave it all until August 11th at least. So, I mean, I've had a chance to skim them, but I haven't really read them in depth, and I would prefer to have the time to do that.
I don't disagree. I just don't want to, and we've discussed this before, I do not want to be, meaning this board, the barrier that prevents
Right.
us implementing something that is already law and puts.
And I don't disagree, but he just said that we're,
And that was
Good.
my final question. So if you're comfortable with, till the next meeting, if there's one that jumps out at you. That
Math
goes,
is the
"No."
one that jumps out.
So is that the one we need to do?
The math is a law that we can't move forward until you approve, and it's required of us to put students in classes based on their scores on the last SOL test, and it's an acceleration pathway for students to end up in algebra in middle school. That one is a big deal if we don't approve it, because we can't send letters to parents or anything until we presented this to you.
Is there any other ones besides that one?
so you need that one tonight. Okay,
Are you good with that?
absolutely.
Okay. Move to approve proposed policy
You see it?
IKEC.
No, I'm still looking, sorry.
It was IKEC.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
I am
Okay,
trying
sorry.
to find it. Yeah. Move to approve proposed policy revision, IKEC, advanced or accelerated math as presented.
I'll second.
Sorry, I keep clicking
Get
back
those
and forth.
kiddos in those math classes.
I have a motion and a second to approve the accelerated math IKEC.
C.
Is there any other discussion? All right, I will call the question. All those in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. 3 yes votes, no votes, 1 member absent.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair and members of the board. Next, we have reports for you. The first one will be Ms. Julie Egan will come forward for our community eligibility provision. And then we will roll with our strategic plan, and that will be all for us this evening. Julie, I'll turn it over to you.
All right.
Dr. Hornick, thanks for, Honecker. Thanks for pushing on that. No, but those are some of the things that we really would like to hear. We do not want, and the 3 of us talk about it, actually the 4 of us talk about it, we do not want to be the barrier. We don't want to be the roadblock. Now, we can move forward and we can still ask questions, but we don't want to be, all right, our hands are tied because the board, if we don't know, we can't move forward. So thank you for doing that.
All right. Good evening. We will be talking about our community eligibility provisions, which is where we are able to offer all breakfast and lunches to students of no charge this year again. This was the same as last year, so it will continue on, and we will be able to continue on to the 2028-2029 school year with the numbers from the 23 to 24 school year. Our numbers up here are from last year because we don't have any data for this year yet. But it does show our reimbursement rate for breakfast and for lunch for all of our no-charge students, and also our if the students were paid students. So if we make that a little bit bigger, we can see. That's okay.
I didn't know if you wanted me to open the spreadsheet.
Yes, you can open the spreadsheet
Open
so we
that
can
one.
see.
Okay.
And so this spreadsheet right here just breaks down how many students in each of our schools are directly certified, which means that they have received an assistance outside of our county, and they would be provided a free meal based on income or additional provisions. And then we participate in the community eligibility provisions, which means that we get to have 70% of our students that eat a meal will be reimbursed at a free rate, and 29.61% will be reimbursed at a paid rate, which for most schools are more than the free and reduced rates. And there are some schools that it is slightly less, but overall it will average out throughout the county. And so basically this is explaining to everybody is that this year, again, our students will be able to eat for no charge. which is huge. Lots of data to say one simple thing.
That's awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Julie. And finally, this evening, I'd like to bring Judy forward to begin kind of the introductory phase of our strategic plan report. Judy, I'll turn it to you.
Yep. Thank you, Dr. Hornick.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. Tonight, we're very happy to provide you with an update on our progress on the strategic plan. Our strategic plan, of course, is a roadmap for our division. It outlines the goals and the actions that we need to take to achieve those goals, and really serves as a guide for our decision making. Of course, as you know, this plan was developed with the input of various stakeholder groups across the school community. And to frame tonight's presentation, we have the mission for you to review, which is essentially a declaration of our purpose as a school division. It states who we are, what we do, and why we do the things we do as a school division. And it serves as an anchor for the other components of the plan. The strategic planning team identified 5 focus areas when developing our plan, and among each of these, there are objectives that were established by that team. After that, we formed action teams that created plans for reaching those objectives, and then our administrative team was charged with coming up with or developing targets, which would give us measurable outcomes that are aligned with those objectives and goals. This evening, each of the action team leaders is going to present to you the targets that were established for their area, the progress to date, and then highlight some of the strategic actions that were taken this past year. So to begin, we're going to start with our instructional programming team leader, Dr. Honecker.
Good evening. Okay, Laura, you can go ahead to the next slide. Thank you. So with the instructional programming, the objectives we had 2. One was an academic objective. Upon completion of elementary, middle, and high school, all students will meet state and federal benchmarks in literacy, math, and science. And then under the skills, we had upon completion of high school, all students will have an established college and/or career plan. So if you could go to the next one. I'm not going to go into a lot about our measurable objectives because we're going to be doing a presentation on this for you as soon as our numbers are finalized. And they're not finalized right now, so I can't really give you the results. But I can tell you that these are the benchmarks that we're hoping to outperform. And so if you look here, this is our English and math and our measurable area, and then our federal benchmarks for those areas. So we'll be really reporting on this aspect of this strategic plan at a later date as soon as those scores are finalized. Okay? Next, the measurable area was the college and career plan by the time a student graduates. We really made a lot of progress in this area over the past school year. We're still not to 100% of where we want to be, but we have made a lot of progress. Last year, you'll remember, was our first year for having a 6th grade career fair. That was something that we know that students really need to understand what it is they want to do when they graduate from high school. A lot of kids don't even really know what careers are out there. So through our CTE advisory, we had our advisory team members suggested that we do a career fair. So we started last year with 6th graders, and it was very well attended, very well received. A lot of our community businesses were there and loved it and said our kids were so intuitive. They asked so many questions, inquisitive, not intuitive, and that it went really, really well. So well that this year we plan to do them at each middle school. And instead of it just being 6th grade, we will do 6th, 7th, and 8th because it'll be at their school and we won't have the transportation and all that. And we'll do it in between bus runs. So don't worry, Justin, we won't have hundreds of kids out there when the buses get there. But we plan to do that to expand. And what we've learned and what our middle school counselors will tell us is a lot of the kids don't really know what types of careers are out there. So we're hoping to expand what we have there. They did some lessons with the students before they went last year, so we'll ask them to do that again. The students came with questions. So that's one area that we felt really good about moving kids towards understanding careers and what it'll also help them when they get to high school to know what kind of pathways they want to go. We also partner with UVA to have a college advisor, and we partner with Germana to have a career coach. So those two people are very helpful with our high school students in helping them understand what their career or college plan will be post-graduation. And I'm not going to go into detail on this one because Mr. Sedano will be talking about this in his presentation, but we started internships. Last year was our first year to really dig in and start those, and I will just say that we have increased that number threefold in 1 year. And those are excellent ways for students to understand career goals and what it's really like to be in a certain career. So we had many students take place in that, and then at the end of their school year, they came and presented to all of us, and their presentations were amazing, what they learned about careers and what they wanted to do. And then Zello is the program that we use for counselors to meet with students starting in 6th grade. They start developing a plan. From 8th grade, they go into the high school and they continue that. There are lessons that should be taught. I stand before you to say that this is a work in progress for us. Finding a way to implement it in the high school has been challenging, but we think we have a plan moving forward that every student will meet. At 9th grade, they'll have certain lessons on certain careers that they'll do 10th, 11th, and 12th. But that is probably the goal that we're working on, really honing in and trying to get 100% at the end of this year. I will, kudos to Locust Grove Middle School last year. They had 100% of their students who did complete their plans. Way to go, Mr. Sedano, before you left. So also at Prospect Heights, they had a lot. They didn't have 100%, but they were close. But our high school has been the issue in getting those implemented in the day. So, but that is our goal for this year, to really hone in on that. And I'll be working with Dr. Brooking to help with that. All right. Any questions on that part? So if you want to see all the things that we've done towards our goals, Laura will click. These are available on our website. And just as an example, if you go in, you can click under the strategies and see some of the things that we've done. For example, the clear and consistent academic expectations. We do use the Virginia Tiered Systems of Supports. We also, if you go to that second column, our pacing guides, as you know, I bragged over having over 90-some secondary teachers here, and I'm not sure how many elementary, but doing curriculum and pacing guide work. So each year we update those. So that's huge for this establishing clear and consistent expectations. And we also update our walkthrough and observation guides every year. And those are, we are working at the high school is going to have their own this year. They're working on those to make them more specific to some of the goals that each principal has. And the 2 middle schools are also going to be working in that area. And I'm not sure, Judy, where is Judy? Oh, sorry, I keep looking over there. If you have a plan for your elementary, but we have worked on walkthroughs that are specific to each content area and meet some of the requirements that are given to us through reading and math and all of those things. So the second area that I was going to highlight, Laura, the critical thinking, creativity and curiosity. We've been doing some book studies and work around thinking classrooms as well as the math workshop, and Sarah Hallam's here if you have any questions about those, but around the math workshop and the building thinking classrooms in mathematics. That was an area where we did a lot of support for teachers in that area. And also, Laura, if you'll scroll, I think it's down. No, it's over, textbook adoptions. That was the other huge one this year. As you know, K-5 had a new textbook for 24-25 for reading to meet the new requirements from the Virginia Department of Ed. We have our new English textbook that you approved back in April, as well as our new math that you just approved here in July. So those are just some of the highlights. If you want to see the progress in all of the different areas, of course, you can find that on our website. Thank you.
Thank you, Renee. And again, to summarize, when we're looking at the targets, we're looking at our first one of making sure that we're meeting the benchmark. That's going to be our scores, right, and reporting on our scores. And then Zella will be our repository where we can gauge our percentage of students completing career plans, and with Nick's move to the high school and the work he did at the middle school, I foresee that really taking off at the high school, and that will be our measurable and our deliverable. We're going to be able to know quickly where we stand as far as that percentage. Susan.
Okay. All right. So I'm here to talk about the safe learning environment and our section of the strategic plan. The two objectives for the safe learning environment were the first, to reduce chronic absenteeism to a rate of less than 10% in each school. And as you remember, for us, that would be missing less than 18 days of school in a school year. And I'll show you those that bit of data here in just a moment. And then the second one is to reduce student behaviors that endanger safety and welfare by 15% each year. And that particular one I will actually be presenting on at the next school board meeting in August. There's a report, it's called the SBAR, but that stands for Student Behavior and Administrative Response Report, that we submit every year to the Virginia Department of Education. We've done a preliminary one in April, but the final one doesn't go in until the end of July. And so we want to make sure that we present the most up-to-date information. So that's actually on the agenda for the next school board meeting. So we'll have a lot more data and more information in regards to student behaviors throughout the year. But on the next slide, you'll see.
And then we will be given quarterly updates from there.
Yes, we will. And so for outcomes on chronic absenteeism, these are our preliminary data. However, they haven't been finalized. As you know, in 24-25, we were able to offer the tutoring, and that flexible time gets added back in as kind of a credit into a school's chronic absenteeism rate, and that has not been added back in. But as you can see, all of our schools improved for the most part. Lightfoot went down from 5.7% to 4.4%. We have Gordon Barber at 11.9%. Locust Grove Primary School stayed about the same, and so did Orange Elementary School. Unionville Elementary School went down by about, it looks almost about half. Locust Grove Middle School was about the same, and Prospect did improve a little bit, and the high school made a small bit of improvement. But that is also an area that the social workers and the administration and school counselors at the high school are all really working on to move forward with our plan for next year. And just, I think, especially at the high school level, that's one that it's going to just take kind of some working at over and over again. So any questions on chronic absenteeism? No? All right, and then actually some action plan highlights, and you don't have to go to the website unless you want to, Laura. I was just going to highlight a few, and that is that one of them is making sure our student code of conduct is on the website and that we have clear communication and training with our staff and students, which we have. Also, we've done the safety audits of all of our buildings through the Blue Ribbon Panel, which they were, when I say eye-opening, it was really nice to have different perspectives of individuals versus, just one or two. We had a wide range of perspectives because it's hard for one person to notice everything. So having all of those perspectives was a really good thing. We also have reviewed our safety trainings and our education in regards to that. We've looked at our character education, and we revised that a year ago. So Dr. Brooking and I have been talking about how can we put in place a way to evaluate what we've done so that we can talk with everyone and get feedback moving forward. Do we need to make changes? Do we need to stay where we are? Kind of how do we need to move with that? We've hired our crisis counselor, and we have put in place a lot of mental health supports in our school division. And of course, later this fall, we'll be rolling out Centegics that will certainly help with the safety in our buildings. Any questions?
Thank you, Susan. Nick?
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you guys tonight about the updates on our strategic action plan regarding stakeholder engagement and support. So we had two main targets for stakeholder engagement and support. And the first of those, I'll provide some data on in a moment, and that's increasing the number of students participating in formal internships, mentorships, job shadowing, and apprenticeships by 10% each year. And as Dr. Honecker indicated, we'll be excited to show how far we exceeded 10% there. Keeping 10% beyond the 300% this year might be a little more of a challenge. The second target is to develop a data collection process to determine the number of students participating in school-sponsored extracurricular activities. That last one, I'll just say, we have plans right now with Plan Forward to harness that organization to get the baseline data that we're looking for there to determine how many students are participating in extracurricular activities. So
Part of
that
our
one's
discussion tomorrow.
Yes, sir. That one's still forthcoming. But if we go on to the next one, I'm excited to show you some of the main things that we've focused on. So this action plan has 4 strategies, and each of those strategies has 5 action steps. So we've got about 20 action steps. A big part of it with the community and stakeholder engagement was CTE and finding a house for CTE and supporting students' workplace goals and supporting students in their workforce development. So you're very well aware of the CTE expansion and the progress related to that, but we wanted to tie that in here because that is definitely something that we can show as a tangible or future tangible from the work that we've been doing. And then on the right, you can see the data related to internships and work-based learning. And so percentiles sound that's why I said about 300%. You had eight students participating in internships 2 years ago, and that was increased to 25. So we want to definitely see that continuing to increase when you have 200, 300 students. I think it's closer to 400 students. We can continue to capture more and more, but this is definitely growing and something that we want to continue to hone in on over the next 4 or 5 years. And then the work-based learning opportunities, we have about 45 students participating in that. So between the two, you got about looks like about 80 students, 70 students, 70, 80 students participating in those two. And then scooting along, we know, and like Susan said, we don't need to go into the website, but all 20 of those action steps are housed there, and you can click on them and learn about the different things that are happening with those. And just so you know what those are in order, the first of the 5 deal with partnerships for job skills. The second 5 deal with family partnerships and strategies to deal with family partnerships. The third 5 deal with harnessing community partnerships to enhance health and wellness. And then the final deal with community partnerships to enhance our extracurricular offerings. So there's a whole lot in this one. I encourage you to go onto the website and take a look and see everything the county's done.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Nick. Yvonne?
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. So I'm here to talk about recruitment and retention. And I hope you enjoy my pictures. So under recruitment and retention, I have 3 objectives, or we have 3 objectives. The first being OCPS will increase the percentage of properly licensed and endorsed teachers and staff by 15% annually until 90% is attained. The second being OCPS will increase and maintain a staff retention rate of 90% annually. And the third is by June of 2028, OCPS will increase staff salaries to be at or above the median salary of surrounding school divisions. So the outcomes for the first, the percentage of properly licensed and endorsed teachers, I am happy to report that over 2 years we have increased by 11.87%. So last year we reported that 81.38% of our staff were properly licensed and endorsed, which is huge considering the number of staff members that we are hiring that are coming from a non-traditional route into education. And that's a lot of hard work by our licensure specialist in HR. The next is the increase and maintain a staff retention rate of 90% annually. This one we're going to work on. For 23-24, we were at about 83.17%, and 24-25, we were at 82.02%. I will have the numbers for this year as we get to October 1st. That's what we're using as our end of date number. This is going to continue to be an area we focus on. And then finally, the salaries be at or above the median. So this will be something that I'll report on as we start the budget development. We'll be able to tell you where we ended up based on the increase that we were able to give, and then what did the divisions that we compared to provide their staff. But this just provides you with the salary comparison that Dr. Hornick presented in his budget, and then what our adopted budget was. And I just picked the teacher bachelor's degree steps 0 through 15 as just a point of reference. And so if you go to the highlights, I will pick out two highlights out of mine. So under strategy 1, select and administer an employee survey, analyze and share results, and develop a plan to address areas of concern. So if you click on that, these are as you've heard, Plan Forward mentioned several times. So this is the company that we partner with, and these are the surveys that we have administered since, I think, December of 24 we started. But you'll see the engagement survey. We did a survey on building leadership when we're seeking a new principal. And then Dr. Hornick's two surveys, one to parents and community members, and then one for teachers and staff. And so as the directors of instruction work with their principals to build their goals going into the new year, these are things that they will take into consideration as they build those. And then Laura, if you'll go down to, I think it's 4, strategy 4, number 5. So I'm happy to share, this one is establishing partnerships. And so, we've had Anytime Fitness, BJ's, things like that we've been able to kind of piecemeal together. But we've partnered with the county this year, and we've purchased appreciation cards. So our two offices work together to contact local businesses and ask them if they would give our employees a discount. And so I'm happy to report we filled up our card, the front and the back. And so we've purchased, I think, 900 cards is what I purchased, and we will be giving these out to our staff members. So when they go, into one of these restaurants, they can present this card and they'll get the discount that they've agreed to. So we're excited about that one. But lots of good stuff happening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Yvonne. And then finally this evening, Ms. Sarver is here. Jessica, turn it over to you.
Good evening. I'm very excited.
As well as Mr. Bennett.
Yes, I'm very excited to share our updates and to welcome Brandon to our leadership on our technology action team. So thank you. All right, Laura, if you can go ahead. So our targets, and I'm going to talk a little more about them individually when we go on to the next slide, but they were mainly about digital citizenship in our PBIS matrices, and then also AI. So if you'll go on, I will talk specifically. So one of our goals was to include digital citizenship, parts of digital citizenship in our PBIS matrices. If you're not familiar with those are our positive behavior expectations for schools. Laura, will you go on to the next one? And I'll show you an example of that. So in our each school's matrix, the theme of being safe, responsibility, respectful kind of flows through every one. Depending on the school, It may look a little differently. Like, obviously, our bulldogs have a bark instead of just those words, so that's a little different. They've had these for a number of years, but our goal was to include aspects of digital safety in these, so we just are setting that expectation in our school positive behavior expectations. This is an elementary example. So first off, I was really proud of our work on this. We have 6 of 9 schools finished, and we anticipate having the other 3 finished when the school year starts. So we had some great work on this. Something you might notice, and all of these are linked to the website, so if you'd like to go back and look and see what they have, please do. But for example, under Be Kind in the classroom, a digital expectation might be kind online, just like you would in person. And so most of the elementary schools inserted their expectations in the other areas, so in the classroom, on the bus, that kind of thing. If you will go on to the next one, please. This is a secondary example, so you'll notice that in secondary, it has its own column, and it has more expectations as the students are getting older. So, for example, we still have the use kind words. It talks about copyrights, things that as a student grows, we would expect more expectations out of this. You also will notice on this one, they have a teacher's column, and they have something I wanted to point out was the student privacy part of it. And so we just want to set that expectation that we are being very careful with our students' privacy, and that goes along with the app review process that we've talked about. Okay. Dr. Brooking did a fantastic job about talking about our AI process, so I'm not going to go over all of that again, but what I do want to point out is that this specifically talks about the use of AI and talking about it in our PLCs. And so a big portion of our work that we did with the district committee, we would talk about things, give them ideas, and then ask them to take that information back to their PLCs, so we were constantly having feedback from that. So this is an area that we will never be completely done in, because as it evolves, so will we. But that is something that's going on already and will continue to go on with that committee. Okay. All right, if you will go to the website, please. So we have lots of great work here that I hope you're able to look at. 2 things that I wanted to point out that we've really worked hard on. Something I've already mentioned is the work around keeping our students safe. Greg kind of redid his Instructional Technology Advisory Committee this year, and Brandon will continue that, which is a great way to get feedback from our community around technology, to redo policies, that sort of thing, working on our digital citizenship honor code. So that's a great committee that Brandon will have this year as well. The other thing that we've really done is take a critical look of what we're doing in technology, how we're using it, how it's using data, the amount of time our students are spending on it, adjusting our curriculum based on that work. And I think you said, Dawn, you talked to already about that. So that's been a huge portion of our work this year, is really working on keeping our students safe. And then if you'll go to the next one. I think something that we can really be proud of as a division is the work that we've done with families and our community and the classes that we've offered. And that 3 things in particular that I think really go with our theme of our technology strategic plan. The mindful screen use for families, that was a great session. If you will scroll down a little bit. We also talked about the anxious generation. I think it went too far. And then, it's okay. And then also the digital safety and wellness. So we will continue that as well, offering things for our families and communities. And that is things that are offered here and also in partnership with other organizations. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Brandon? Judy, you want to close us out?
So first of all, thank you to the action team leaders for all of their important work, and to Dr. Hornick for his guidance and leadership and high expectations around this work for everyone in the school division. And then, of course, to you as the board for supporting all of the hard work that everyone throughout the division is doing. We could not accomplish that without your support. Our next steps are to develop a systematic way of displaying our progress toward those measures. Right now, that's primarily gathered through presentations that we do to the board and is somewhat embedded within that strategic plan as it's designed on the website. So we're working towards something that will make that more easily accessible to follow and track the data as we're aiming toward those goals that were shared with you tonight. And of course, at this point, we're ready to go back and take a look at the work that we've done, the targets that were set by our administrative team, review those, evaluate, reassess, adjust them. You saw in some cases that we had not quite met that goal yet, and there are lots of good reasons for all of that. So we just need to adjust and keep moving forward because these are all lofty goals and very important. To conclude, we just wanted to revisit these belief statements that were developed by the strategic planning team. These are the foundation of that plan and of our mission and everything that we do. And these were agreed upon by all the members on our strategic planning team as kind of a filter for all the actions that we take. And all of our work is grounded in these beliefs. And I think you can see that these beliefs are reflected in the work that you've heard about tonight and how important they are, and that we're all striving toward reaching that mission that we shared at the beginning. So thank you very much for your attention tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judy, and thank you to everybody who presented. And Madam Chair, members of the board, I will turn it back over to you all.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Hornick.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, staff, for your beautiful presentation. We're moving on to board member items. Is there any future items that we need to make sure that are also on the August 11th meeting? All right. Hearing none, moving on. Any additional comments? Everybody's ready to go home. All right. Moving on to number 11. We're adjourned.
Thank you.
It's still rolling. Maybe we should wait. It's raining.
My window's been down.
Oh, no. Oh, no.